The National Geographic Society funded and conducted an experiment intended to explain how the giant stone heads of Easter Island, known as the Moai, were moved across the land and placed in their current positions. The experiment led by two archaeologists, in which strong ropes were tied to a Moai replica and used to drag the object few meters ahead along the road, using a swing and pull technique. Actually, the main point of National Geographic is debunk and discredit the theory that those stone heads were lifted, transported across the island and put in their places, with extraterrestrial technology. Though I'm gonna demonstrate with this video, that this experiment is not only an utter bullshit, and no way explains how it was done, but also it insults the islanders and the oral tradition left by their ancestors who claimed that the Moai were not animated by men. The island, located in the South Pacific Ocean, 2,300 miles from Chile's west coast, was originally inhabited by Polynesian settlers, later by Dutch explorers in the 18th century, and then annexed by Chile in the late 19th century. There are around 900 giant stone heads spread all over the place, and mainstream archaeologists claim they were built by ancient Polynesian people, despite the fact that their descendants vehemently deny it. The scientists of National Geographic Society and their support group managed to pull one single Moai replica a few meters along a recent and flat road, but matter of fact most of the original heads are placed in inaccessible areas across the rough volcanic terrain of the island, and no way this primitive technique proposed by those scientists could remotely have been successful to achieve the task. And we are talking about just one stone head here. Don't forget that there are 900, some say over 1,000 Moai statues along the island. The most famous groups of Moai statues are aligned in large platforms along the coast, but many other heads are irregularly spread in the inland part of the island, even in the hillside areas. The National Geographic Society applied their rope-based technique in a 10-foot-tall, 5-ton replica, which are the same numbers of the average heads, but what they are not telling you is that many of those giant statues are over 30 feet and weigh over 80 tons. Some of them, which are unfinished, are almost 70 feet and weigh about 270 tons. They really want people believing that primitive men lifted and moved these colossal monolithic figures, hundreds of miles with ropes?
These are the faces behind a mystery that has stumped scientists for generations. They are the Moai, ancient statues of Easter Island. According to legend,
the shenanigans created by National Geographic Society totally fall apart, if we consider that various Moai statues have long bodies buried in the ground, as confirmed by later excavations. These ones must weigh over 500 tons, and despite what mainstream archaeologists may claim, it seems impossible that they were buried by erosion of the soil without any changing in their positions.
What's so special about these statues?
I think in part they're special because they have human characteristics, and so they remind us, don't they, of our own families in many ways.
Why do you think that they were buried?
It seems to us, at least from our own excavations and from the ones that have gone before, that the burying of the statues was caused not by man, but by nature, by erosion.
There are so many theories as to how these giants were put in place. They walked there, aliens put them there, the Rapa Nui moved them there. Do these new findings change any of your theories?
Yes, actually, our findings with these excavations have taught us that Rapa Nui people were fully capable of raising statues upright in place on flat ground. We found, for example, post holes. We found rope guides cut into the bedrock. So this is really evidence of very clever thinking, very careful planning, and some fine resources of rope and posts and so on.
Matter of fact, the natives of Easter Island, also known as the Rapa Nui people, never said that those giant statues were moved by men. Their oral tradition clearly states that they were lifted and moved by some type of energy called by their ancestors mana, attributed to divine powers that researchers of the ancient alien astronaut theory believe to be extraterrestrial technology. Perhaps the third-year undergraduate project with ultrasonic acoustic levitation, supervised by Professor Bruce Drinkwater, of Bristol University, may shed some light upon the enigma of the Moai statues, and what kind of technology could possibly have been used to lift and move them. Regardless the fact that the experiment was conducted with polystyrene particles, the principle may give us an idea about what the ancient Polynesian people called mana energy, and how the extraterrestrial factor was lost in translation as something supernatural. But what is pretty obvious is the ridiculous attempt of National Geographic Society for debunking the subject and discredit the oral traditions of the Easter Island inhabitants, as well as the theorists of the ancient alien astronaut theory.